So let's start with presentation. First of all, it would be good to repeat why we are here, why we're thinking that the discrete graphics for the notebooks is important. First of all, as you see here, the shipments of the discrete graphics are increasing very fast in the last couple of years. So in 2009 we started on approximately 40 million units, and for this year our expectation is around 85 million units in the discrete space for the notebooks, and for 2013 we should achieve almost 100 million units. I like this slide because basically many people saying that because of integrated solutions like from Intel, AMD, that the discrete notebook market is decreasing. These are numbers from the Mercury. As you see, it's not right at all. The problem is that the discrete graphics are becoming much more powerful, and as I will show you later, the gap between the integrated and discrete is becoming again bigger and bigger. So I don't think that on these numbers and the growth anything changing in the next years, because we are so much better in compared to integrated graphic card that this will still grow very fast. So regarding the share, as you know, on our business we have basically two companies doing the discrete graphic cards. One is AMD, one is Nvidia. So in 2011 we have pretty good increase in our market share in notebooks. This is basically time frame from August 2011. You see that we're increasing basically every quarter. There was a little flat in the end of the year, but still increasing, and we're expecting with our 600M family even bigger increase. And I think you already heard about this technology. So I think that one of the reasons why we are so successful on discrete graphic cards is that we have Optimus. Despite the fact that Optimus is like 2 years old and it's quite known on the market, there is no equal technology from our competition which really works like Optimus. There was many times confirmed by many reviews, because Optimus is really now in the stage to be basically solve all the issues, and it works really fluently, seamlessly without the user attention. So today we have around 90% of notebooks on the market with Optimus, which is like almost every single notebook which is shipped has now Optimus included. These 10% missing is basically our notebooks with 3D vision, or the notebooks are not able to use the discrete graphic card connected to integrated over the PCI Express. So, as I said, for this year we're expecting like massive amount of the design wins for 600M. We're saying this is probably like year of GeForce, because we never had in the past similar number with amount of notebooks you will see with the GeForce inside. So I think that this time it will be way better, even in 2008 when we had like almost 75% market share. So basically our 600M family is an amazing line of the products, and what we are seeing from our partners, that basically almost every single, not almost, but every single big OEM in the world is offering now the GeForce in the notebooks, and including this company, because as you remember in the past, in 2010 and 2011, HP in the notebooks, in the discrete notebooks, didn't offer anything from the GeForce side, just the Quadro. So this time we have all of them on the market with the GeForce, and you will see some amazing notebooks with 600M inside. Unfortunately, I had a plan to bring some of them here, so we're missing still HP because they didn't announce systems yet. They're coming slightly later. Dell announced the systems only yesterday on a press event in London, so again I didn't have a chance to get a system, but the rest of these guys are here and you can basically check them. And these are just a few systems. I mean, this is not only one. You can expect that many of them will have like many systems in this GeForce, and they will basically adopt all our product line.
So Alienware, right? From that.
Of course. I mean, but Alienware is just this hind part, so I will talk about it slightly later. So, what does it mean for us? Why, and for our partners, why the 600M is so much better compared to previous one? Why they want to integrate this inside of their systems? So, first of all, it's more than 2 times more efficient. So remember the word or the number 2 times, because in compared to 500M, the previous generation, I think we achieved some really amazing numbers. And one of the examples is this Acer notebook, Luciano is in front of him as well, so you have a second one there. It's like very thin ultrabook, and but you can basically play on this ultrabook. You can play like the Battlefield 3 in the high settings, which have never been possible before. The second thing is like we are up to 10 times faster than IGP, so everyone just expects this. So I don't think that anyone expecting that the integrated graphic card will be this one. Of course, it's not the entry level. I'm talking the 10 times faster is the highest one, but still the difference is huge. And of course, Optimus is from top to bottom included on our notebooks, and this is one of the key reasons why we are in many notebooks, because this time, or since the Optimus was introduced, there is no issue with the discrete graphic card in the notebooks. In the end, finally, the OEMs are not complaining about battery life, because of Optimus you have a great battery life. As, for example, Acer, which has almost 10 hours battery life, and you have still very powerful GPU inside. So, when you're designing the perfect notebook GPU, it's slightly difficult, and it was always difficult in the past. Of course, the Optimus was one part, it always helped us, but it doesn't mean that Optimus can solve everything. Optimus is fine for battery life in case you're basically not using the GPU, but if you're using the GPU, then the GPU is going for the max, then you still need to calculate with, with TDP, with the performance, with the power requirements, and if the notebook is very thin and you play the games, it will be very difficult to basically such a GPU which consumes a lot of energy to integrate inside. That's why we just try to solve this problem and try to find a sweet spot. It means to get a really good performance, very good power consumption, and then you can have basically GPU inside of very thin notebooks like Acer or some of others coming in the near future. So that's why we create the 600M. I will repeat again, 2 times more efficient than 500M. I will explain what does it mean, 2 times efficiency. So in March 2010, I'm not sure if you remember, one of the first gaming notebooks, the true gaming notebooks came from Clivo. There was X8100, and this notebook is like around, I think, 2 hours battery life. It's very kind of bulky. You have like the big gaming system. In that time, it was quite a good system, but I think if you compare it with later notebooks, like for example Alienware was M15X last year, it was slightly improvements. You get a 3 hours battery life. It was slightly less heavy. It was as well a little more thinner. But in the same system with Acer, you will get the same performance. Just that you understand, these notebooks has the same performance, are equal in terms of performance. But with 640M, you can get the notebook which is like 20mm thin. You get up to 8 hours or 10 hours battery life, and it's basically, you can't even compare it. I mean, if you know how this system look like, or this one, this is very, very thin, like basically ultrabook. So that's our explanation what efficiency, or 2 times more efficiency, means for us with 600M. Is it clear for you? No questions so far? Okay. So I had a discussion about it. I'm traveling since the last week in many European cities, and we had a discussion about exactly what does it mean, the word first through ultrabook. You understand? One of the guys said to me, this is not true, because I know the ultrabooks already from the last year. That's true, of course. This is not the first ultrabook, because they were introduced already last year. But according to us, we believe this is a word first through ultrabook, and I will explain you why. So, if you think about the ultrabooks, you're basically thinking that the ultrabook must be ultra thin. So most of them are just according to this. I know the many very thin ultrabooks, it looks very nice. You need to have an ultra portable battery. That's the little issue, because many of them I think the battery life, which is like so you expect from an ultrabook. Some of them are okay, but it's still acceptable, I think. And you as well expect the ultra performance. So the question is what the performance means for you. If you just need to write emails, work on the internet, write your text, then maybe you will be satisfied. But if you really think about the performance like playing the games, then you will probably agree with me that there is nothing about ultra performance on the ultrabook side, because all of these games, by the way, these are probably the best games of the last year from the PC platform. all of these games are not able to run in a native resolution of ultrabooks, the low details, and all of them running below 20 frames per second, which we consider like very, very bad playability. I mean, you can't play the games on that level. By the way, talking about a Core i5, 1.5 GHz, HD 3000, 4 GB of RAM, if you think about the configuration. Then, if you use something like Luciano has in front of him, that you basically can get the native resolution in the high details, in the higher than 30 frames per second. All of these games, Batman, Battlefield, Crysis 2, Deus Ex, and Skyrim, running very fluently on the system. So, Luciano, maybe you can show it now,
yeah.
and talking about it. So, we have a Battlefield 3 there. Just excuse us, it's kind of strange to play PC game on the control on Xbox, but I think it's easier for Luciano to show it to you instead of just sitting in front of you.
Così posso, come dire, giocare, ma sì.
I would recommend you then, when we have a time, just check the notebook and another one is we have a mouse there if you want to play the Battlefield or play with this one. You see it's very fluent. I don't see any issue.
Sto andando con dettagli medio-alti alla risoluzione nativa del notebook e in questo momento sto facendo una partita in modalità multiplayer, sono connesso a internet e il tutto in assoluta portabilità, nel senso che posso staccare la batteria e se non avessi un cavo wireless, per dire, potrei giocare assolutamente tenendolo in una mano, sulla mano. Circa 2 kilos, right?
Yeah, it should be. I think it's maybe slightly less.
Circa, no, appena.
Around the 2 kilos, yeah. But for me it's important, it's very thin, so you can easily fit on your bag. I mean, again, for me it's important that the notebook itself is kind of, it's not only about the battery life, but it's portable. So this one is, if you play the games, you probably expect slightly bigger screen. That's why you maybe think that this is a little bigger than normal ultrabooks because it's 15-inch. But if you want to really play, and Acer is thinking about it, like the ultrabook where you can play as well games, you probably agree with me that 15-inch screen is better than you just play with a 17-inch, which is very small.
Comunque, a parte la portabilità considerata in un PC desktop di fascia medio-alta di 4 anni fa, non arrivava a questa potenza di calcolo. Tra Core i5 e GeForce 40 assolutamente ma questo sostituisce un cassettone da 30 kg fondamentalmente, il tutto un vistato.
So you will see, I mean, from an ultrabook side, most of the ultrabooks they have a discrete GPU. They are talking about ultrabooks like a 14-inch, 15-inch, because it really makes sense. Otherwise, if you build something very small, it's not much for gaming because the screen will be very small. But I'm not saying that there will not be any available, but the focus is on like 14-inch, 15-inch, and it's such a screen.
Question.
Yep.
The battery life that you display, 8 hours, it refers from how much performance. I mean,
yeah, sure. I mean, I'm saying,
hours.
you know, of course, if you play games, then of course you can't play the 10 hours. That's clear because the GPU is running on the max. But we're talking basically, you know, these battery life tests are from a normal battery life benchmarks that you're not using games. So we're just talking about how long you can work on a notebook. And it's important just to mention because in the past, and I always reminding this, that in the past when you had discrete GPU inside of the notebook, that always means like you have like very, very little battery life because like 2-3 years ago we didn't have Optimus at that time, so basically without Optimus the GPU at least consumes slightly something. Without Optimus it was like very difficult. With Optimus there is almost zero requirement from GPU for the power. It's basically electrically switched off. So that's why we just mentioning the battery life because a few years ago it wasn't so easy, even if you didn't play. So now, of course, everyone understands when you play games, the battery life is not 10 hours because the GPU requiring some power. But it's more like that you understand how long you can travel with the notebook and work if you need. So that was regarding Optimus, which now, so I don't need to repeat it again. So regarding the ultrabooks, it's slightly difficult for us because, as you know, Intel is releasing now quad cores and then not dual cores. And most of the ultrabooks are based on the dual cores. So I can't tell you now about all of them because they were not announced from our partners yet. So this is one of the first Acer talking, but this is really the first of many. So you will get many of them immediately when there is a dual core platform from Intel introduced, which I guess will be like slightly after the quad cores. So I'm sure then probably you will really see some amazing designs. I already of course know them, I can't tell you all of them, so you need to wait a little bit. So when we're talking about the performance, this is like the rough estimation. So as you see, the 84,000 is estimated based on the information we have today. And if you just compare it with a discrete graphic cards, this is one of the things what I believe it's good claim that the gap is increasing, because the 620M, which is our entry-level part, is around 70% faster than 4,000. It wasn't like this in the previous generation. So we're still increasing the gap. And of course, when you go for 640, 660, 675, then basically you're getting way higher performance. So and most of these parts we have here, so you can just play with the notebooks. So another thing which is very important, you're already discussing this every single launch, but I have this slide from one reason. And I had many questions from a guy. So Intel is improving the performance of the HD4000. So if you compare it with the HD3000, theoretically you could get the better playability of games, right? So it's not the case with this, because the people need to understand that every year the requirements for the hardware from games are increasing. So if you look for 2011 or 2010, just games like Mafia, Dead Rising, Just Cause, they were like one of the best games in that time. Okay, but when in 2011 we've got like games like the Battlefield, like a Witcher, Crysis 2, and they of course they're requiring the higher perf because they're just expecting that the hardware will grow in terms of the performance. So in the end, if you compare 3000 versus 4000, all of these games are not playable. Let's say 43% of games on both platforms are not playable. It doesn't matter that you have now faster GPU, because this is still the same person as the games are, as I mentioned, increasing in hardware requirements. By the way, when we're talking about the playability, that means we're expecting that you will get in a native resolution in the low settings at least slightly higher than 30 frames per second, which is not the case with this. You're mostly getting much less than 30 frames per second. And of course, you will probably expect that I say that we are okay in this case, but everyone just expects that the GeForce, it's the main part is for playing games, so we don't have an issue with any single game, which was like the big game of the last year, so all of them are 100%. So the second thing is, like, this is my favorite slide, that the new IGP will have a support of DirectX 11, which is quite interesting for me, because I think that people should try to differentiate between word support and the playable, because I can have a support for everything, but it doesn't mean that I can really play in these settings. So issue with this, that basically 66% of games, really the best ones, again we have here like Crysis, Battlefield, Batman, are not playable on IGP, because it's basically checkbox. The DirectX 11 support is a checkbox, but to have a real DirectX 11 support that you can use in the games and basically get the performance you need, the IGP is definitely not from perf side equal to what the discrete GPU is able to offer. But I guess we probably understand. If you just test little graphics, if you working in this space for years, you will probably understand that no one expected that you can play DirectX 11. But it's still very important to remind people, because I don't know if all guys really understand this. So when you go for the 620M and you just look for how you can play the games in DirectX 11, it's for me quite surprising. And this is again the reason why we're saying we have twice more efficiency, because at the low settings we have like minimum DirectX 11 settings and the setting board 5.7, which is our like a native resolution. 620M is still able to play like around the 30 frames per second. Even the games like a Crysis on Battlefield, which is quite interesting. So even our entry-level part is able to play the latest game in a minimum setting, which I can't say about IGP. So This is now my favorite part of the presentation. As you know, the world is changing, and I know more and more people are playing on notebooks instead of on desktops. So I'm not saying that this will, be changed in the next year, that everyone will play on notebooks, but we see that this trend is increasing quite a lot. As I'm representing an Nvidia notebook part and mobile, so I would be loved if everyone from you just migrate from a desktop to notebook. And I think there will be some amazing systems coming this year. And first of all, I just want to show you a couple of numbers which even surprised me and basically our mobile part inside of the company. If you just think about the growth, so annual growth of the notebooks category, it's like around 11%, which is not bad considering, for example, desktop growth, which is just a few percent only. So 11% is so-so. But try to imagine that enthusiast notebooks, these big gaming notebooks, are growing almost 34% per year. This is a huge number. And I'm just surprised because these notebooks are not cheap. So it means that the people are really thinking that the gamers, when they go and spend the money, like $2,000 for the system, do I need to buy a desktop, or is it maybe better to think about a notebook? And true is that if you really think about the high gaming systems, and they have the GeForce GTX, it would be very difficult to find a single game you can't play. So in the past, the people always said that the notebooks are not for real gamers because from performance-wise, they can't match the desktop systems. But this is not the case anymore because they are so powerful that you can play every single game. So because of this, you will see some really cool systems from companies they never ever did the gaming notebooks. One of the examples is the Lenovo Y580. This is, by the way, a similar notebook like we have a 480 there. This is a little brother with 550. So I don't have a 580 yet, but this one will be one of the thinnest and the lightest notebook, the GTX gaming notebook I ever had in my hands, and I'm sure that you get the system for the review to agree with me. The notebook should have a 5 hour plus 5 hours of battery life, of course because of Optimus. And I'm talking about a system with the GTX 660, and it's not really the fastest one, but the 660 is basically enough for every new game I know. It's just played absolutely fluent. Even the 640 is working without any issues, so 660 is quite powerful. So what I want to show you how this you can understand from an OEM side. Just think about 2010. There were only 3 OEMs doing gaming notebooks. It was Alienware, just later purchased by Dell, Clivo, and Asus. In 2011, we have got already 5. So we have got Toshiba and MSI to the party. So Toshiba, if you remember, they had like Cosmio one, the big notebook with even the 3D vision, which was one of the gaming system, and MSI with a similar system as we have here. This is slightly improved. And in 2012, you will see even companies like Samsung or Lenovo, which were considered like consumer notebooks companies or business notebook companies, doing a big gaming notebooks, which is quite a surprise for me because always the people say like this is like a few companies. So I guess you understand now how important this market is becoming because people are really thinking now about the real gamers buying notebooks for gaming instead of just the desktop. And we have like so many companies there. Try to imagine, in compared to 2010, from 3 OEMs, we are 9 OEMs just in 2 years. And if companies like Samsung and Lenovo investing to this market, that means it's becoming really important. It's not just that they want to sell notebooks. Because of this annual growth, it means for them very, very interesting business. Well, and of course, one of the reasons why the GTX notebooks are becoming so important that you can have all these technologies from a desktop, so you can have all the latest Nvidia technologies, including SLI, 3D vision, physics, and as well, important I'm always mentioning is the Verde. So you know the Verde drivers are becoming more and more important because of these gaming notebooks. For most of the users, it's very important to keep drivers up to date, and we are only one company which basically offering the drivers at the same time for desktop and notebooks. So that you basically get the driver for your notebook immediately when the desktop one is released. Our competition is not offering this yet. So it's very important, especially in the enthusiast space, because they really want to have updated drivers at the same time as a desktop. And there was always issues in the past, and now basically the gamers can feel the same, because all the latest features, like for example we introduced for desktop, last month, they will be available when you can have on the notebooks. So, if you look for the Genoa 600M family, we have, as I said, many of the systems coming from our partners. Some of them I can't just mention here because they are not launched yet, like Sony, HP, Dell. Dell was announced yesterday, so I guess you probably received some press release, but because I'm traveling since the last week, we didn't have it yet in the presentation.